Hello and welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. How are you? I hope all of you are doing really well. So, wherever you are, it's my privilege to welcome all of you here in the Global Success Stories. And today is 42nd episode of the success stories that I'm doing quite some time. And it's been covering last 28 countries in the last 2 months. So welcome Mr. Andy, welcome Redwan, welcome Nazrul Islam, Rajan Thomas. Hello and welcome Laurie Ann. So thank you for joining. Hello Rajan, how are you? So if you can hear me clearly, would you please just give me thumbs up or any kind of feedback so that I can understand that the voice is clear. Just a second. Hello Rajan. Yes, thank you Rajan, and thank you everyone. Thank you for joining with me. It's my privilege to welcome you, all of you here. So stay with me. Today I have a special guest as well from Bangladesh, and he's actually staying in he's actually US citizen, and he's doing this quite some time. He's a professional trainer, speaker and coach, and he's doing it last 20 years, and he's been traveling across the world as well, and he's a fellow countryman of Bangladesh, even though just he has been staying in US quite some time. As a result, he's now US citizen. So welcome everyone. Let me welcome some of you. Mansoor Aziz, thank you for joining with me, and I'm really happy that you are joining with me with this global success stories. And I'm doing these success stories just because I would like to inspire people, and by bringing these success stories from across the world. And I believe that the people, those who are being interviewed in this episode in the last 2 months or so, they have achieved something in their lifetime, and I believe that their stories can help us understand our life a bit better way. At least it's helping me. At the same time, I believe that it is also helping many people around. So stay with me. Let me welcome all of you once again. Those who are just joining with me today, I have a guest who is a fellow countryman, US citizen, and who is a professional trainer as well. And I'm just waiting to have him on the screen on this program. So I just sent invitation to Mr. Munir Khan. Hello Mr. Munir Khan, can you hear me? Thank you Rajan for your feedback. I'm just waiting in a moment to join me from US, Mr. Munir Khan. Hello Mr. Kaisar Hamid, thank you for joining with me. How are you doing? I hope all of you, those who are just joining with me, doing it really good. Thank you so much. Let me welcome all of you in this success episode. And today I have a special guest from USA. Hello Mr. Munir Khan, I have just sent you the joining request. Yes, thank you. Mr. Munir Khan would be appearing on the screen. Hello, Mr. Sheikh Rahman, another person that I have interviewed yesterday. Mr. Welcome Qazi Ashraful Azim, Salauddin Ujjal, and those who are just joining from different part of the globe. Welcome to the success episode. And today is a 42nd episode, and I have already covered 28 countries in the last 42 episodes, and today it's my privilege and pleasure really to welcome Mr. Munir Khan, who has been in the personal development industry, in the professional training and speaking in this industry last 20 years. And let me also introduce Mr. Munir Khan to all of you. I'm sure that all of you are well aware about Mr. Munir Khan, yet he is a towering personality in the corporate training industry, and he has been a light to many thousands of people across the different part of the world. He has been in US and graduated from California State University with an MBA, and he has been into different universities as a guest lecturer and also many colleges of US as well. At the same time, he has been appearing, different universities into Bangladesh, Malaysia, Denmark, and Mexico, and also some other countries as well. So, and he has been 20 years doing this and helping people to realize their true potential and truly inspiring them. And it's my privilege and honor. Welcome, Mr. Munir Khan.
Thank you very much, Kamrul. It's a pleasure being here, and I just wanted to say hello to everyone watching from around the world. It's 8 o'clock in the morning here, and I'm pretty sure that it's night in Bangladesh. So I'm just thanking everybody who is just joining in right now, and look forward to a great discussion today.
Thank you so much. So, and also I need to, introduce your another qualities that you have been written already two best-selling books. One is the Leadership Plain and Simple. Another is Compass to Record-Breaking Sales Performance. So this
That's
is
correct.
so this is really a wonderful edition of yours, and I'm not sure that how many Bangladeshi people across the world have written the leadership books, but I'm pretty sure you are very few one of them into the industry. You happen to be staying in US, but but let me also tell all of my audiences as well that you have been visiting Bangladesh's corporate, every now and then, and helping the corporates to continuous growth in their growth journey and also leadership development journey. So, Mr. Munir Khan, I would like to know that why you are into the leadership development journey. Would you please share your journey as well? Now, how you came into this industry?
Thank you, Kamrul. It's a pleasure being here. And leadership is something that that I have experienced. The book that I have written on leadership and on sales are just the reflection of all the experiences that I had, throughout my career and in the work life in USA and both in Bangladesh and internationally. I have encountered a lot of companies, a lot of individuals, and I had the opportunity to work with many of the renowned leaders and not so good leader also, throughout your job experience and everything. So that is something that I'm very much passionate about in terms of I see that leadership is such a thing that many people have different kinds of opinion about it, and many people have different kinds of idea about it. Whenever we talk about a leader, we just think that it has to be somebody just on the top and there's going to be hundreds or thousands of followers and everything. But leadership is a journey that starts from the individual, and then it gradually goes to groups and then departments, organization, and as the organization as a whole could be a leader. So this area that I have studied, it fascinated, it was a fascinating journey and everything. So it was a learning experience for me. So it goes along with every aspect of organization. When you are developing organization, when you are starting a business. In my career in USA for the past 12 to 15 years, I've been working with the Small Business Development Center, where in California I work with several hundreds of entrepreneurs and startups, and I work with people who wants to start a business, and then I work with people who already have a business and they wanted to grow or they were having difficulties. So everywhere that I worked, I have seen that the biggest reason for is leadership, and that is something that I think we are going to talk about a little bit in detail of what I understand leadership is, and what my experience is from everywhere. So that is where my journey starts, and it's still going on. And not only in US, I had the opportunity to work with more than 30 different companies in Bangladesh also, and from small to medium-sized enterprise to large enterprise. And I have seen everywhere a lot of enthusiastic people, a lot of successful people, and they wanted to be more successful. But if we can kind of make them see, what leadership really is, and they practice it, I'm pretty sure that Bangladesh as a whole will develop, and the people and the business will have a really, really positive outcome in terms of leadership.
Absolutely. You're spot on, because what I see that you have been doing and contributing different multinational corporations to small, medium, and large organizations in Bangladesh and also in the US, as you are professionally doing and helping the entrepreneurial journey. And is happy to say that you have also contributed your work in Denmark, Mexico, China, and Malaysia as well. Beyond Bangladesh and US. So I'll be coming back to this. And before that, may I request to the audiences as well, those who are just watching right now from different part of the world and also from Bangladesh as well, would you please share this live video as well, because it would help others maybe to understand the leadership, and maybe it would help them to their entrepreneurial journey as well, because Mr. Munir Khan is such a personality from Bangladesh, and I hope that he is actually able to, he has been doing this, helping people to realize the potential. And I'm sure I am inspired at the same time. Those who would be watching would be inspired too. So my request to all of you is to share this live video so that, people across the planet, maybe the different people also from Bangladesh as well, we can get into touch as well. So coming back to Mr. Munir Khan, so into the leadership journey. So what you have seen in US and also in Bangladesh and other countries. So what are the difference you see, the differentiating factors in the leadership journey?
Yes, it's so interesting that, automatically we think that if it is a foreign country, not from Bangladesh or USA, developed country and everything, maybe the leaderships are different, the people's mentalities are different. Amazingly, what I have observed that we have pretty much similar kinds of mentality everywhere. It's something to do with being aware of what leadership really is. And what my observation is that most of the time what we do is we think about a lot of big things, and but we kind of don't think about the smaller thing that kind of builds our foundation. That means, if you want to understand leadership, you just have to know what is the basics of leadership, what it really means. Just because of this, as we can see, if you read in a lot of books, we have seen that in the world there are more than 300 definitions of leadership, because people define leadership in different ways from their perspectives and everything. But if it all boils down to it, the things that is common in leadership is that leadership is about influencing others to achieve your targeted goals. So, if you can influence others, if your work, if your word, and if your management and anything, it influence others to change their course to the direction that or objective that you are trying to achieve, then you have some leadership quality. Now, the biggest thing on that is that the people think that, oh, well, if I can influence people, I can put a gun to their head and I can influence anybody. Is that leadership? But no, the biggest difference in leadership is that people influence people to achieve goal without having to rely on force. That means, if you don't have to rely on force, that, oh, okay, using your position, you are the owner of a company, it says you have to do what I say you have to do, otherwise you're going to lose your job, then you lost your leadership skills. So leadership is not about using force, it's about inspiring people, it's about influencing people to get the job done. So now throughout my journey, I have seen both in Bangladesh and USA and in different countries is that people think about leadership in a different way. They always think about leadership as a bigger aspect. But the first part of leadership is to learn how to lead yourself. That means, if you are not disciplined, if you don't have the skills, if you don't have the credibility, then you cannot be a good leader. Because the biggest thing, the people will follow you if they believe you, if they trust you, if they have confidence on your abilities. So if you don't develop those abilities and then you want to lead people, then it's going to be a big mistake. And that's what I see in different companies and everywhere, is that the people in leadership role, the people who are in the position of leadership, they think that they don't need to improve themselves. They just expect other people to improve, other followers to improve. And what happens is people don't follow what you say, they follow what you actually do. So those are the part of leadership that has to be, that leader has to, they have to have their skills, they have to know what they're doing, and they have to lead the way, they have to show people what to do, they have to have credibility. They, whatever they say and whatever they do must have a kind of like a relation. That means that is the credibility comes from. So those are the things I have seen in the different organizations, and everywhere in Bangladesh, in other places and everywhere, is that it has a similar pattern that the people think leadership in a different way. But there are certain things a leader must have. They need to know how to listen to people. They need to know how to energize other, how to motivate and energize other. They need to know their vision. That if you want to lead people to an objective, you need to know the objectives. Many of the time we just have very ambiguous idea. We just say, well, we will increase our sale. We'll become the best of the company in the world or in the Bangladesh. But they don't explain it. They have no clear idea how we're gonna be best. Best from what? And what is the benchmark? What they think is a standard. So if we don't know the standard, how we can improve our standards? So if we say I have lots of money, that's different meaning to different people. If like it's a working people, like a taxi driver, if he says I have lost a lot of money, that would be like several thousand Dhaka or dollar in that aspect. But if Bill Gates says I have lost a lot of money, that's millions and trillions of dollars. So a part of becoming a good leader is becoming very specific, not ambiguous. Do not say we want to be the best, we want to have lots of money, we want to make lots of money. So that is one of the things that I have seen, the clarity of your objectives. So if your objective is clear, then you can devise a plan. So as a leader, you need to have a clear objectives, and you have to kind of align everyday work to that objective, so people know where they are and where they're going, and they have to be system wise. They have to develop a system of how we are going, and that is one of the things that the leadership must have, and they have to empower people. That means the leader develops leader. They just don't want follower. So these are some of the quality that I have seen that commonly is missing in many of the places. And when I study some of the companies who are doing very good, I see that they are demonstrating that as individual and as a whole of those qualities. And the companies that are not that are struggling, or the business that are struggling, and I have seen that the lack of leadership in that areas. So
right, I'm sure it would have been better if I could have read your book, Leadership Plain and Simple. I was just wondering, what are the plain and simple tricks that you have mentioned? Would you please just help us to understand from a kind of the plain and simple tricks or methods? Because a lot of us, first time manager and also first line manager, after having a couple of years experience in a company, gave the managerial role, and all of a sudden happened to be the boss, marshalling the troops kind of things, and then commanding, ordering, and believing that he has got the authority to do it, and people are bound to follow them. And what is to them is leadership. And the second question, based on your books, if you also can help us to understand, is it the position based, that a leader has to be positioned as well? The executives, or the young professionals, how they become a good leader as well?
Very good question, Kamrul. In my book, what I tried, the reason that I write down it's a plain and simple is that we don't want to learn things in a complicated way. We talk about leadership, but very few of us talk about how we can implement that in our daily life, or what it really means to our daily life. There are many words, they're very complicated words and everything. I try to get away from that. What I did throughout this book is that I have gathered my experience, and I have done a lot of desk research, and I read and follow a lot of the leaders and their what are the things that they have suggested. I kind of gathered those things and put them in a easier perspective for people to understand. Is that leadership is about three things. You have there are three things that you need to have. Number one, you need to be somebody. That means you need to have some type of personality. Number two, you need to know something. In order for you to become leader, you need to know some of the stuff, some of the skills, some of the things. And finally, the leader has to do something. So that means in these three aspects, that means, if you have a very good personality, if you have a lot of skills, but you haven't done anything, you won't be a good leader in that respect. And so that's why in my Leadership Plain and Simple book, what I did is I incorporated those three things. Is that what kind of personality you can have as a leader, and then what are the things that you need to know, and then what are the things that you need to do. So I kind of put leader, the word leader, every letter of it, I did it like six, letters over there in the six aspect, like leader, listen and learn. They energize people, they align their visions, and they develop a system. They know how to empower people. And the number one is all the way is that they recognize achievement. That means a leader knows how to recognize other people when they're doing good. They give them good feedback. When they're not doing so good, he's giving a lot of supports and constructive criticism. So those are the things that I have incorporated in my book in a plain and simple way, so that a regular person can understand what it really means by a leader. And also what I talk about is that like anything else, leadership is a process. Many people think that, well, some people born as a leader, some people, it comes from a family of a leader and everything, although sometimes it might, some people might have some kinds of quality, but what I believe is that leadership is a process. Process means, cooking is a process. And, so if you know the process, more or less you can be a good cook, or medium cook, or somebody you can actually cook. So what I try to find out is the leadership has a process. If you can follow that process, you develop yourself, you develop your learning skill and listening skills, and try to do this kind of practice, this kind of things in your workplace, then you can become a leader. And I think I have read something from a book of Zig Ziglar, who wrote something, a kind of an example which I always follow, that he said that he has traveled all over the world. He had read lots of newspapers, lots of magazines and books and newses and everything, but never in the world he have seen anywhere in the hospital or anywhere it says, today in our hospital there was a leader was born. They say always there is a boy or a girl was born. But it says every time I open up newspaper, I see that a leader has died, a doctor, an engineer, a big scientist, good people died. So he says, well, I was kind of surprised that what kind of people are these? They don't born, like these leaders are not born, but the leader can die. What kind of thing is that? So then the conclusion is that we all born the same way. True. We are either man, woman, but what we do between the time of birth and the time of death, that defines us, who we become. So from that perspective, everybody born the same way. So if anybody wants to be a leader, they can become a leader. They just have to be someone, they just have to know something, and they have to do something. And to the second part of your question is that, do they have to have a position? Absolutely not. We have seen in the real life, if you look in many of the offices, it doesn't matter where it is in the world, you see sometimes the manager has to use their power. They just say, hey, do you know I am the manager? You have to listen to me. But then an assistant manager or somebody, people listen to him without even he using his force. They just say, well, that guy don't have the position, but he has a lot of power. So, John Maxwell actually put it really, really good way, is that if any time in any group or any situation, the person with the most influence would be the leader. That means if you can influence other people, the more, if you can inspire other people, it doesn't matter what position you are in. But when we look in the business world or your working world, position really matters. That gives you the first chance of becoming a leader. So many people make a mistake. I think if I can refer to John Maxwell's book also, he put 5 steps of becoming a leader. That means, once you get a position, many of us, we think that we already become a leader. That means, if you get a management position, if you're a director, you just say, well, I become a leader. But actually, no, you got a leadership position. And what you do into that position, that will kind of define when you're a leader. Because people in that position, they follow you because they have to follow you. And when people have to follow you, then leadership skills are not there. They have to want to follow you. So how do you get to that position? You can utilize your position. You can develop your people skill. You can develop your own skill. You can develop your interpersonal skills and influencing and inspiring skill. That will bring you to the next level of leadership, which is called permission level of leadership. That means people will give permission for you to become their leader. So that means, people just don't have to do the work. They just want to do work with you. And that is the chance that you have for the leadership. And that's when you develop people, that's when you work and everything. If you do that, then you're going to be on the 3rd level of leadership that is called the production level. That means, if people like to work with you and they're working really good with you, you are in line with them, you are in line with the objectives, your production will increase, obviously. And this is where, your boss will start liking you. You will become an effective as a leader. And then, once you become an effective as a leader, same time that you have to go to the next level that is called development level. That means, the leader develops leader. They want to build other people the same way. And this is where many of the company I have seen that the people have issues in terms of, they think that if I develop somebody, if I teach somebody to do my job, they will take my job away. And that's the biggest, mistake that people have in terms of leadership, is that they don't want to teach somebody else because they are very much insecure in their job. But it's quite the opposite is really true. If you develop people, they will actually pull you up. So you will go to the next level if you develop leaders and everything. So once you develop people, that's where you become very good as a leader. And then finally, there are leaders who we say pinnacle level. That means you have done it for so long. People have so much respect on you. They absolutely believe you, absolutely trust you. And we have very few leaders in the world we can talk about is that, national leaders and, the names that we know. These are the leaders, they have gained respect from people in such a way that people will follow them no matter what. So as you can see, there is a step-by-step process. You can't just think about it, just say, oh, I have studied a lot of the bigger leaders or famous leaders, and I'm just going to do whatever they do and I'm going to become famous. And that's a mistake. It's a step-by-step process. You have to go from A to Z, not like, going back and forth. So leadership journey it's a journey throughout your life, throughout the world. Once you become a leader, it doesn't mean that you are just going to be a leader for the rest of your life, because going there is relatively easy, but staying there is very hard, because once you develop a persona, once you develop a charisma, people have a lot of expectation on you. So you have to maintain that. If you do a good job the first time, you have to do it every time.
Yeah, thank you. And let's talk about the attributes and qualities, definitely, and also the essence of developing a leadership for the organizational context and also in the global context in today's era, and how it matters actually to develop a true leader. Coming back to this point, why I'm saying it as well, because how the leader also handle the criticism, how the leader also handle the challenges from the subordinates. From a true leadership point of view, how do you see it? Because a lot of time we see that
Yes.
leader, maybe like what we see also in generally, that they don't actually welcome people are challenging them.
Actually, there are two different ways we can contribute in the business world currently. One thing we need to know that we're in the 21st century right now. The business world is a lot different than what we had in 80s or 90s. And it is said that, from 1980s, every year the world was developing 5 years worth of prior to 1980s. And after 2000, they said that it's 20 years. Every year, our world is going forward 20 years equivalent to before 80. That means, if we don't have those leadership qualities, if we don't bring those leadership quality inside us, we are not going to survive at all. There is a Chinese proverb that, if you are rowing a boat upstream, that means if you're in a position, if you don't row the boat, you're not going to stay on the same position because you're going to go behind. So even if you want to stay on the same position, you have to keep on rowing. The same thing is leadership is a mentality. Leadership is a way of work. If we stop doing it, we won't be able to compete in this world. And the business environment is extremely tough. And what I describe, kind of a fun way is that we're living in a world of, oh my God. That means every day we're just saying, oh my God, this can be done this way. Several years ago, people never even thought about that Amazon could be a business model without having your own stores and everything, and this big of a business model. So there are new models of business coming in, new ways of business. The customer expectations are changing, corporate, situations are changing. So leadership is kind of accepting that change and keeping your mind open and making yourself ready for taking those changes and everything, and then incorporate those changes in your daily life and your work. So in our business world, it is a must in terms of leadership is about learning, is about getting your team ready. It's a teamwork. So you can be an individual leader. That means you lead yourself. You can control your bad habits. You can flourish your good habits. You can develop yourself and you follow your good instinct. It is said that if you cannot follow yourself, then how do you expect other people will follow you? That means if I have a bad habit that I smoke, then if I wanted to get rid of it, I can. If I cannot get rid of it, I'm not leading myself. How do I expect that, other people will lead? So we have to learn to lead individually, how to control ourselves, how to kind of make ourselves the best of what I can become. Then we have to see in a team aspect, is that the people around me, whether I can lead it. Then you have to see it in a departmental aspect. If it is a business, is that our department, well, everybody is leading in, and have the same type of mentality, have the right kind of acceptance to the change and challenging mentality. So, and it goes broader and broader from department to our company, the company from the industry, and from it goes all the way to the country. So in order for us to compete in this world, there is no alternative to our leadership mindset in terms of, leading ourselves, and no matter, it comes from a very simple thought. When I say, plain and simple, the simple thought is to become the best in whatever you do, no matter how small that work is. So if you are starting as a student, you are starting working in a company, or you just think that, oh, when am I going to be leader? You will become a leader is that every work, every assignment that you get, that is the DNA of your success. So if you know how to do it best, you're going to go to the next level. So become the best in whatever you do. It doesn't matter whether you sweep the floor, you become a dishwasher or anything, become the best dishwasher in the world. And if that mentality you have is that I will become the best, and then you kind of expand that mentality in a team format, that our team will be the best, and we will do whatever our work is, we will do the best. I think it is possible to become successful in business.
True. What I was hearing from you is that the true leadership qualities, as you said, the listening, the empathy, the understanding, and also the leading from the front. And a lot of these are the behavioral aspect, right? So now the next thing I wonder, that today every organization also they want to develop the leadership because they see the challenges and they feel it, and at the same time they also want to train their people into the leadership curriculum. Now, the challenges, what do you see the challenges they are facing when they want to develop, the right resources, the curriculums, or the mindset, and what do you assess the entire scenario into this value chain?
Very good question. I think we have to, I have seen it everywhere. We have to kind of go out of our stereotype way in terms of training. And I have observed it in Bangladesh, and I have observed it in different countries also, but mostly in Bangladesh, since we are developing. I'm very happy to see that the awareness are really there. Many of the companies, they want to develop, they're investing a lot more money in training and everything. But the best part of leadership, or the most crucial part of leadership, is to know yourself, assess yourself, where you are strong. So they are spending a lot of money in training, but they're not spending a lot of time in training research in terms of whether you really need what training. So if you are going on kind of generic training and everything, you will not get the right result. That means, if I give you a kind of raw format example, is that if you have a stomach problem and you are taking treatment for your mind, it's not going to help.
True.
Okay, so in the training aspect, what we see that since we don't have the awareness of what training really is, so the company, whenever they're facing some issues in terms of either the sales is down or the internal conflicts is there, they just go for some generic training. They just say, oh, okay, let's give our salespeople a training so the sales increase. But there are many factors really contributes to that sales loss. It's not only the fault of the salespeople in the front line. Maybe they're not being given the proper, planning. Maybe their supervisors are not treating them all right. Maybe the organizational system doesn't do a very good marketing. So before even you go training, you need to do a little bit research in terms of, whether this person needs training. So that's what I faced when I worked with different companies in Bangladesh and in USA, is that whenever they say, well, Mr. Munir, we need this kind of training, then I ask the obvious question. Let's sit back. Let's see, what is your problem? Why do you think that problem is happening? Who is contributing to that problem? Is this a training issue? Many of the time, it's not a training issue. I will give you an example, is that whenever you are evaluating your employees or something, the performance, someone is not doing the performance, or there is a poor performance, you need to find out whether that person know it or not. Okay, so if that person know that this is what they're supposed to do, this is the standard and everything, and still the performance is not doing good, then it's not a training issue. It is a performance issue. You need discipline, you need progressive discipline, you need action planning. And if you see that this person is not doing this job because they don't know how to do it, we haven't given them that standard, then this is a training issue. So this is what I saw, is that our other people or our companies in Bangladesh and all over the places, they need to first know what they really need, and they need to invest a little bit time researching in terms of what is the cause of the performance, and then they select the right kind of trainer in terms of a person who trains every subject, most probably will have different issues. And then, if you have stomach problem and the person comes in and says, hey, we're going to give you motivation, we're going to give you this kind of training, then you need to ask question. Every time there is a training, or if somebody wants to train, you need to ask the trainer a lot of things, is that, did you identify what is the problem? And what would be the result of your training? There has to be a tangible result. You cannot just say, well, the awareness has been, awareness built up. Yes, that is good, but what is as a result? Every result can be counted tangibly, in terms of money, in terms of performance, and all of this area. So I think those are the areas we have some weakness in the thing, is that we need to develop the people who take training, the company who are taking training, we need to develop their awareness in terms, they need to ask more from their trainer. They need to see if a trainer is working as a management position in an existing company, how can that person teaches the CEO of another company how to run that company? So it comes to that baseline question in terms of leadership, is that if you don't have it, how you can give it to somebody else?
True.
So I think my point of view is that you need to do a lot of research, because training is a big investment, and it is the investment that will have an impact on your organization. So if your employees are learning something really, really wrong, it will be counterproductive for your organization. So I have seen that, but I'm very much hopeful because the awareness has built up right now. The people are asking about it, and many companies are going forward to have a lot of training. So I believe there are a lot of good trainers and consultants in our country also that will be able to contribute a lot.
Yeah. When I was hearing from you, that I kind of see a picture that is the training need assessment and also the giving the proper kind of treatment. So if I relate like an kind of the diagnosis of a human body, we go for diagnosis, and based on the diagnosis result, the doctor give the prescriptions, and the doses of the medicine also been fixed. You know, right, the when, I mean, how many medicines, how many pills, and in the morning, afternoon, and dinner. So, and also the quality of the medicine as well. So it's not only the medicine, but also the doses and base, and also the implementation of the doses, and then obviously the quality of the medicine as well. But these are the process of the diagnosis and then treatment process, and also the duration and then impact. So I think this is the thing you're trying to referring, right, for the training.
You're absolutely right. When you are using the medicinal analogy, it is so much appropriate. Our business is just like our body. It has different parts of bodies and different kinds of problem. And the medicine, when you're using the medicine, you have to know there are different kinds of medicine. There are emergency medication, first aid kits. There are preventive medication. There are vitamins that keeps you. So the training is kind of like this. There are certain training you need as a first aid. That means we need to do it in an emergency basis, that this is what we have problems. We can do this training in order for us to get things together, our mindset together. Then there are certain training that increase your health. There are certain training like your soft skill development. These are kind of like preventive maintenance. That means, if you develop your executives and everybody in future, you are not having any problem. And then there are some vitamins. That means there are certain training, those are aesthetic. We see at the end of the year there are like big convention and everything. Sometimes you cannot get any tangible results from there in terms of what we're going to teach, but just by having the training in a beautiful place or outdoor setting or somewhere, it kind of motivates people. It's kind of like a vitamin, it kind of give you a message that the company really cares for them. So as a trainer, you have to know the distinction between what kind of medicine you are giving. If a company needs an emergency medication, if you are giving them vitamins, it's going to be a problem. And just like a doctor, diagnosis has to be right. In order for that, you need to ask a lot of questions. I usually refer to many of my clients is to ask 5 whys. Usually, if you have a problem, cells are dropped. Why cells are dropped? Because they are not working. Why they are not working? Because they're not being scheduling in the right place. Why they're not scheduling? And then it says because the manager didn't do it. So you find out that the fault is not their fault. If you ask 5 why, fault goes somewhere else, and then you can take care of those stuff. So the more why you can ask, the more why, the more better results you can get in terms of what the training needed.
For the developing a leadership, what do you think about the need for coaching? A lot of time, a lot of people, specifically in this part of the world, I'm referring to Bangladesh as well, that now we are already doing excellent, and our sales is good, our profit is good, and our people are doing really good, and I'm already in top position. Why do I need a coach? Why I should be coached? What do you see into this, and how do you respond to this kind of scenario?
Oh, it's absolutely right. I have seen a lot of those mentalities that, okay, we are here. As I told you, like the Chinese proverb, that, just because you are on the top, that doesn't mean the world has stopped. The different methods of coming, the competitions are going better. our competitors are becoming more and more aggressive, and they're doing benchmarking. If we are doing something really good, somebody else can learn this thing, and they're just innovating something else. So we have to kind of develop ourselves in a consistent basis. That means, the moment we think that, oh, we are okay, we just don't have to do, then we are in deep trouble because somebody else come in. And sometimes people say the monopoly business is really, really good. Like, we are the only one in Bangladesh, or we're the only one in the world. I think the monopoly business is the most risky one, because when you are monopolize a business, everybody knows that you are making the top money. So what happened? There are a lot of people wants to get the part of that money. So your, your chances of getting attacked from everywhere. So that is why, there is no time in business. There is no time for taking a rest. Or you just, your sales are good, your profits are good. It can be always better. You never know unless and until you try. And so coaching is absolutely needed. And one part of coaching is that, I have seen there are a lot of mentoring going on, a lot of coaching going on. What we think is that if we can give somebody a good advice, show them, send them in some of the training, and give them promotion, that is coaching. Actually, no. If you look in the field, football or any other field, the coach is always in the field. They're not sitting somewhere else.
True.
And they try to get the best out of you, no matter how. And when you win, you get the result. The coach doesn't take the prize in, but your team really wins. And that is one of the biggest and the very good leadership mentality is coaching mentality. Is help people to become successful. I think yesterday or day before yesterday we heard another speaker who was talking about that if you can make enough people successful, you will become successful in this world. And that's the mentality of coaching, is that we want our team to become successful, and how we can develop them, how we can develop our system. We do brainstorming, even if we are good right now, but how we can go better, and how we can become the best. And it is said that the biggest enemy of the best is good. That means, when we are doing good, we just think we're doing good. We don't have to be the best. So the biggest enemy for best is good. So there is not a time for, we can celebrate our small victory. We motivate ourselves. We just say we're doing good. Let's find out how we can become better. If we are very good, we're the best in Bangladesh, how we can become the best in the subcontinent. If we are best in the subcontinent, how we can become the best in the world. Let's see, what are the best companies in the world. And I see some phenomenal success in Bangladeshi companies and everything. The mentalities are being changed. People, especially in the ownership, their mentalities are a lot changed. Before it was more conservative. They wanted to, kind of manage everything. I have seen that many of the mentalities are changing right now. They are kind of empowering other people, and many of our younger individuals are coming in. They're coming in with a lot of new ideas and everything, and those are the things that we need. And if we really want to develop our training program, if we really want to develop our leadership skill, we have to kind of try from our younger generation earlier in the school or in the university, in the colleges of development and becoming excellence. I think we have a very good chance of having a very successful nation.
Yep. Yeah. I absolutely 100% agreed with you, because the generation that we kind of see now, those are coming from different universities from abroad, and also the kind of progressive education from the higher education. So they are actually challenging the current leadership as well, because they're very courageous and they also want to be changed, and they want change as well. Both the things. A lot of us, we want change, but when it is to be changed, we say no, we don't want to be changed. But in the younger generation that you're referring to, the millennials, I'm sure that you're referring to millennials, right? They are very courageous. And into this context, or my last question to you, as you see the dynamics into the US and also the other part of the world, and when you see the Asian countries, the dynamics of the millennials versus the traditional leadership, where do you see matching, the going hand to hand?
It's matching, and it's very encouraging that especially the Asian side of the world, people are getting more serious about competing and becoming the best in the world, because the advantage that we have in the East rather than from the West, what happened is we have a different sets of social issues over here in terms of learning and development. There are the people who are going to the university, people who are taking the formal educations and everything, they're going to one path. There are general people whose life are somewhat secured. They don't have to go through the hardship that the Asian people has to go through. So they're kind of in the middle. They need a lot of motivation, a lot of training. But in our country, what we see that we know the kind of the value of hardship, and we don't take things for granted. So from that perspective, I have seen a lot of awareness that has built up in the students, and they want to learn. We need to give them the right kinds of learning tools in terms of competing in the world. But I think for that awareness everywhere, because the difficult situation in the world, there are uncertainty in the business, it kind of pushed our everywhere globally people to kind of look more, innovate more, coming up with new ideas, getting away from the status quo and understanding things. So those are certain things that we needed. There are certain mentalities that we have that if you have skills, good education, you are hardworking, you are loyal to the company, then the company will take care of you. I think that companies now these days asking for more than your skill, because they can get the skill anywhere in the world. They can get hardworking people, all of these things. But what they're looking for the leadership skills and people. They take initiatives. They don't wait for some orders and everything. They are passionate about it. They're just not going for 9-to-5 job and this is how I make my living. No, they're just going to work for, this is how I contribute to the society. There is something new that I wanted to bring in. And those kind of mentalities are really, really important. And one of the important part that earlier discussion had is that 70 to 80%, this is one of the statistics in USA, that 70 to 80% of the business that failed. Having working for the past over 12 years with the small businesses around the valley and everything, my experience is, yes, 70% of the businesses, they don't make it. There is a reason for it. Everybody thinks that, well, somebody opened up a business and they didn't make enough money, so they go out of business. But out of this 70%, there is another statistic that says that 90% of those 70% business, they go out of business not because of their business were doing bad, because their business were doing good. They never had a growth plan. That means, you have an idea and you thought that, okay, I'm going to open up, I have a very good, maybe I wanted to open up a restaurant because I know how to cook certain things. And then you anticipated that you're going to make a certain amount of money, suppose $3,000 a month. And you and your wife's going to work over there part-time and you will be just fine. Then what happened is your product was so liked by people, your sales are $10,000 a month. Right now, you can't handle it. You're asking your kids, can you help me? Kids says, no, we don't want to be in the restaurant. I want to be somewhere else. So they don't know how to hire people. They just got people who are not productive and they destroy that business. So 90% of that 70% is because of the business growth and they didn't have any growth plan. The same thing with us is that we're studying and we're preparing our students and everything to get a good job, but we're not giving them a plan, leadership plan in terms of how you can retain that job, how you can excel on that job, how you can, deal with daily politics, daily difficulties and everything, and how you can interact with people, how you can network, how you can, develop your leadership skill. So those are some of the challenges that I see globally and even regionally that needs to be addressed. And the leadership development plan or awareness build up and this kind of program, I think, would be a great help for the community.
Yep. Thank you so much for your invaluable discussion, insights about leadership. I'm sure that there are much more that we could discover. It's been 1 year. I was really, hearing you and it's been amazing, listening to you. And I'm sure that those who are listening in future or right now as well, they have learned something, I'm sure, because I have been into the discussion so much so that I wish I could continue this conversation another 1 hour or more. But there is every time that we got to conclude the session as well. But before that, what I want to say is that the Bangladesh right now, as everyone knows, that how it is poised, that more than 50% of the population is the young and youth, and this youth represents the dynamics of the economy and also the power of the economy as well, and the information technology and the economics, the socio-economic, the culture, everything as a whole is such a nicely poised. I'm sure that Bangladesh is going to be the nation that to be watched in terms of economic development, in terms of being the powerhouse, and in terms of being the role model, and in terms of the potential sector across the world, that people would be coming towards the Bangladesh as well, because the potentials, because of the opportunities, because of the dynamics, because it's such a densely populated country. We have the resources, and right now it is in a position that is to be explored. What do you think on your last comment?
You are absolutely right, and I think you hit the right point on Bangladesh. There are many people. We are so much critical about there is nothing going on in our country, this and that. But there are amazing facts about Bangladesh that the many of us don't know. But before that, I wanted to say something. I think I have read one quote from UNDP. I think United Nations Development Program. It says that there is no poor country in this world, only the poorly managed one. Okay, so as far as resources concerned, we are extremely resourceful, and you are absolutely right. We have more than 50% population are younger in our country, which makes us one of the very rare, most youngest populated country, majority country in the world. And so we have high potential, and this trend will last for about next 30 years. That's what's been predicted, that until next 30 years, our country will be majority in young people. And if we don't develop these young people, it would be really a big setback for us. So whatever we do, we need to build that awareness. There are other things that amazing about Bangladesh that many of the people doesn't probably notice, is that we have a positive GDP since 1971. Every 10 years, if you do, we have a positive GDP of at least 1%. And that is amazing for the economists, because Bangladesh is one of the very rare, very few countries that has a predictable GDP. That means it is going up, it hasn't gone down yet. So this kind of economic trend is an opportunity. And if we can develop the skills and mentalities and leadership of our young individual, if there are certain plans, I'm sure you have some of the amazing plans that we discussed earlier, that those are the initiatives. If we can make them aware, we can develop their skills. I think Bangladesh is already an amazing country, and it has the highest potential of becoming one of the topmost developed country in the world. So I'm very much hopeful in that regard.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And so much I do as well, because I see the way the country is rising, and it will continue in the next 30 or 40 years into the growth trajectory. And it has so much to do and so much to contribute. And together, what I see is now together we from the different part of the world, people like you, who can contribute now. This is the time, actually, together we can build really a resourceful Bangladesh. And with this aim, I would like to invite the people, those who are expatriates, non-resident Bangladeshis, those who are in a different part of the world. How can we really contribute for the growth of the economy of the country? And this is the opportunity, because the way Bangladesh is rising, I think if all of us just contribute from our own arena, just do our own share, we don't need to look into the who is doing what, who is not doing what as well. Only it's not the responsibility of the government as well, neither the institutions. It's we, every one of us. If we do our own part, I'm sure that this 16 or 17 or 18 crore, if we do our own part, I mean, we don't need to look into any other organizations as well. The leadership will be developed, the organization will be developed, the family will be developed, the society will be developed, as a whole the nations will be developed. I'm sure that together we can create a beautiful nation from where we are now, even more beautiful in coming days. So with this,
absolutely, and I can add that we call them the NRB, non-resident Bangladeshis. We have a tremendous resources everywhere in the world. Bangladeshis are doing so much phenomenal job at every single areas of business and politics and everywhere, all over the world. So we don't have to look further. And one thing I can say for sure is talking to other individuals in, the people who we have been here for many years, is that we want to do something for our country. And we just need some platform, somebody to kind of, accept and ask for those kind of experience. And I'm pretty sure with me, there are hundreds and even thousands of Bangladeshis who are very successful all over the world. They would love to come in and share their experiences and help us develop our country. All we have to do is just improve our mentality and accepting mentalities, and it is not only teaching the people who are learning, they have to grow their mentality in terms of learning, is that we want to learn. So hopefully I have a big hope for our country, for the world, and anytime there is any support or anything that is needed from my part, I can commit to it, and I'm always available for that. And I really thank you for this initiative. It is really amazing, and I'm really honored that I have had the opportunity to discuss today with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure, and with you, I invite all the expatriate Bangladeshis, those who are doing excellent job all over the world. Let us connect and let us contribute for the contribution of this country, and together we can make this world a better place. And if we love each other, if we support each other, if we encourage each other, if we do it together, we can share this growth, we can share this journey, we can share this joy. And I believe that with this joy, our life can be fulfilled. And it's not the money, it's not the position, it's not the accolades, it's not the another achievement. It's the fulfillment that we want to see out of our life, and the fulfillment also we want to see within our next generation as well. I invite with you and this message across the planet and in the universe, how we can be united, reunited for this century and for our next generation. With this hope, I believe that all of us would be coming towards, and I am trying to do a platform, trying to create a platform in the next 5 years, so that 100 countries, 100 nations, people will be coming towards Bangladesh, and also helping us to develop the leadership, the country, and together we can do this. This is my dream, and I believe that together we can achieve that dream too. Thank you so much, Mr. Munir Khan. It's my privilege.
Amazing.
It's my honor.
I wish you all the best. Yes, and it was a privilege and honor also from my part, and I thank all the viewers for being patient and listening to us, and I hope we have offered some of the values. And thank you very much, and wish you all the best, and hope to see you again.
Thank you so much. And yes, everyone, those who are watching right now and would be watching in the future, we don't know how many people will be watching, I'm sure, and I'm pretty sure that this message would go across everywhere. And let's contribute with this invitation. Thank you so much. Take care, stay well, and may God bless you, everyone. I'm really indebted to you and indebted to every one of you. I'm grateful to everyone. I remain thankful.
Everyone.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.